So what is the point in complaining? Why are you complaining about where things are in your life today? You're complaining about your boss, you're complaining about your job, you're complaining about the fact that you don't have enough money. Complaining is a massive waste of time. It solves nothing. It's not going to change your reality. And if you complain about one thing, you're more likely to complain about other things as well. It can become a habit. You complain about the car you drive, about the queue to fill up petrol. You complain about the increase of costs, goods and services. You complain about the fact that you've put on weight. You complain about the fact that you have to cook dinner. You complain about the fact that your tyres need changing. Instead of complaining, we should act. Complaining doesn't actually change the reality that you're facing, and therefore it is a waste of time. It wastes emotional energy. It takes power away from you. Do you even have justification for your complaints? Are you just being a little bitch? Could you replace the complaining with actually taking some action? It's a waste of cognitive resource, complaining. And if you think about the word itself, to complain, there is an opposite, which is to relish or enjoy. Therefore, if you're going through some difficult times, why not relish the opportunity that's been given to you in the situation that you're in? You should reframe how you think about the situation you're in. Because actually, the situation you're going through within your business, let's say you're struggling to get clients, instead of complaining about the fact that you haven't got clients, look at this as a way that you need to get better at generating clients or selling. That reframe is going to help you to improve yourself. The problem as well with complaining is that you're seen as a negative person, both to yourself and to others. Think of someone who you know that complains. Don't they fucking piss you off? It might be a kid that's always whining. It might be a guy at work who always complains that they don't get the good appointments. You won't see a hero complain. They will just embrace the struggle. You need to understand that you shouldn't be complaining about anything, ever. Complaining is looking at the problem, isn't it? You're complaining about a problem. But what you're not doing is coming up with a solution. So you're very good at identifying problems and issues, but you're not very good at solving them. So if you find yourself complaining, why not try and develop solutions instead? Just get on with your life. You know, stop taking time and stalling by making excuses. Excuses and complaints are obviously stalling because you're just staying where you are and just acting a victim. If you complain, you've already lost. You've already given power away. As I said, you wouldn't want, if you had a child, you wouldn't want them to be a complaining, whiny little bitch. But you're one. Why is that? Excuses and complaining as well, you know, that it's a loser mentality, isn't it? There's no accountability there. You're complaining about many things that are going on within your circumstance. But complaining itself as well affects your ability to make decisions. It clouds your mind. You know, you might be off center, your frame has been compromised, and it therefore takes away your control. It's not very stoic to complain, and you're acting like a victim. We should instead be grateful that we've got challenges. The better you are, the bigger the challenges you will have. A hard life is a good life, and suffering is good. To win a world championship, you need to fight better men. A harder challenge. You don't need to complain about the fact that you're going to have a hard fight. You need to beat the final boss to get through to the next stage. And you need to own your shit. You need to flip a positive or flip a negative to a positive. There's always something positive to come from anything that happens to you. The example I always give is the car. Imagine your car is broken down on your drive. You're late for work. You're late to pick someone up. But it couldn't have been a lot worse. Your car could have broken down 1,000 miles from home in the pouring rain and your phone was dead. Your car was probably going to break down at some point anyway. But at least it broke down at home and you can stay in the house. Again, you can look at it in as many ways. You could say, well, actually, the reason it broke down is because I can't afford to buy a new car, and therefore I need to upskill myself to generate more income. You don't have control over what happens to an extent, but you do over how you think about things. It's not what happens to you, but how you deal with things that matters. Complaining makes you seem weak. You are affected very easily by external events. Imagine a commander, a warrior, a sergeant complaining. You wouldn't follow him. So why are you following your own complaining little bullshit? Because no one gives a fuck if you're upset and you're complaining. All they care about is seeing results. Oh, I didn't get much sleep last night, that's why. No, don't give a fuck. Oh, my child is ill. Yeah, okay, it's bad, but no one gives a fuck. All they care about is your performance and getting shit done and dealing with the obstacles in front of you. Everyone's got an excuse they could use. As I said, that was just a few examples, so don't be that person. What we should do instead is expect things to get better. Life is a series of cycles. You go through the valleys, the hard times, and you go through the summits, which are the good times. And people actually get really upset when they go through the valleys. But this is where champions are made. And also, if it's a case of valleys versus summits, why are you actually upset in the valley? You should actually be happiest in the valley, because you know that the only way is up and there will be better times ahead. You should actually be upset at the summit because you know that the only way is down from there. There's always going to be good followed by bad. Winter precedes spring, and it will always be the case. Think about what you're complaining about as well. You're complaining about the mortgage payments, yet you wish to own a house. Are you complaining about things that you didn't understand actually what was entailed with that wish that you wanted? You're complaining that people come up to you in the street and stop you, yet you wished to be famous. You're complaining about how annoying having 3 girlfriends is, yet you wanted 3 beautiful girlfriends. You're complaining about how much tax you're paying, yet you wanted to earn more money. You need to understand exactly what you're wishing for. We develop from problems, and the bigger the problems, the better your life is going to an extent. If the only issue you've got is paying rent, you're not in as good a position as someone who's worried about paying salaries for 100,000 people who work for them. Because, again, think about it this way. Others wish for what you have now. You're living in a Western country with a roof over your head, running water, toilets, the ability to get jobs, and in the most case, fairly low crime that isn't barbaric like some other parts of the world. And yes, there is an argument to have that maybe it's not as safe as it once was, but for the most part, we're pretty good. There are other people out there without a bed, without water, and you're complaining like a little bitch. Be grateful for where things are. And complaining has a negative effect on your inner state, the tranquility. We don't need to complain, we just need to act and be in a positive state. Replace this belief and thought process. Life's about choices. You have a choice to complain or not. Because what you focus on gains more power. It's like the old Voldemort examples. You speak about him and he gets more powerful. If you keep thinking about complaints and how unlucky you are, you're taking away your power. And actually it magnifies the problem. Whatever you give attention to, you give energy to. You're giving power away. Because complaining is deflecting. It's a defense mechanism for you to not admit that you are the problem. Jim Rohn is a prime example of this. He used to believe that, or had a list, that taxes, the government, the weather, all these other bits were reasons that he wasn't successful. His mentor told him that, or asked him why he wasn't on the list. And he sort of came to the realization that he was the problem. There are so many people with the same issues that we have, the same taxes, the same government, the same weather, whatever else you can think of, but they're successful. Why is that? And that's why we need to change our words and how we talk about situations. You're complaining about your job, your woman, money, whatever. As I said, you have the power to change these things. You cannot, and this is a great sort of quote, you cannot wish for both a strong character and an easy life. We should not wish for an easy life. We should wish for a difficult one and wish for better skills in order to combat those issues. A great Marcus Aurelius quote as well is to be like the rock that the waves keep crashing over. The raging of the sea falls still around it. No matter what happens, you can be calm. The waves that are crashing over you should have no effect on how you feel. You need the discipline to keep moving forward, and don't worry about complaining. Just act and be bold. Whatever obstacle is there, that is the way that you need to go. You can grow through your problems, and as I said, the bigger the problem, the better your life is, realistically. You won't see a homeless man have problems with paying millions of dollars in tax, because his life just isn't that important. His complaints or his worries are getting shelter for the night. He doesn't have worries about other countries nuclear bombing his country, and he's responsible for that. So actually, do you want bigger problems in life, not smaller ones? And as I said, locus of control, take an internal locus of control, realise that you're responsible for your own life, and don't give it to those external measures. And actually, a few other little points here really is that if you complain, you attract other complainers to you as well, and it creates a negative feedback loop. You complain, they complain, you complain yourself, and you keep complaining, you can keep complaining, and it also stifles your creativity. If you're in that state of complaining, it's going to be difficult for you to generate ideas. And again, complainers are looking at problems without looking for solutions. So you should do two things. One is look for solutions, and two, look for the positive to come from where you are, and understand that struggles and obstacles are not something to be complained about, but something to embrace and enjoy.